Hello there, I'm Dr. Gaurav Agnihotri, and today I'm going to dwell on the fact that in this virtual era, how the internet has become an online extension of our brain. So what are the repercussions of this scenario? What are the challenges? And how do we deal with these challenges? All that I'm going to discuss with you today. So online extension of human brain and digital amnesia in virtual era, the explicit solutions. Now, the first question which comes to the mind is, are we living in an age of digital amnesia? Well, think about it. When was the last time you tried to remember a telephone number? Or when was the last time you tried to remember addresses? If I think, it was in my childhood that I used to remember the telephone numbers of my near and dear ones. But nowadays, there is no need. I just have to switch on my cell phone and then I just go to the phone book, type the name, and the number comes in front of me and I'm able to make the call. So this access to technology, is it taking away our memories? That is what we want to focus on today. Are we becoming more forgetful nowadays than we were a few years back? Is it because of technology? Well, that is what we want to focus on today. So are we living in an age of digital amnesia? So you see this person, he's trying to remember when was the last time he tried to remember an address or a telephone number. So that is the reality of today, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, that we don't try to remember things because technology has made it easier for us. Can you name the past presidents of India? Well, you don't need to, because anytime you want the answer, you can go to Google and Google will tell you the past presidents of India. So during school days, we used to memorize these questions. List of presidents of India. So now technology has allowed us to outsource our memory in a way. We can store our information and we can retrieve the information as and when it is required. This is called the Google effect. Google is always there with us. The Google companion is there with us. And whenever we want to retrieve information, it's so easy. By the click of a button, we can Google it. So, is it affecting our memories? Let us see. Are we living in a age of digital amnesia? Is technology kind of taking away our memory skills because now we don't need to memorize? So these are the questions we want to focus on. So being an anatomist, I can't help but go to the anatomical regions for memory in the brain before we try to find solutions. So we all know that the brain has got the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, hippocampus, and cerebellum. So all these regions, the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, hippocampus, and cerebellum, they are responsible for our memory. Cerebellum plays a role in procedural memories. So when we play a Casio or when we play a piano, the cerebellum comes into play. The hippocampus is associated with what I call RED, that is recognition memory, episodic memory, and declarative memory. Now, what are these? RED, recognition memory. When we see a person and we see that, oh, I've seen you somewhere. So that is recognition memory. Here, the hippocampus is playing a role. So while playing a piano, the cerebellum is playing a role, while for recognition memory, that we are recognizing this person, oh, I've seen you somewhere, probably at some conference or some event, you know. So that is recognition memory, and that is the function of hippocampus. Then we have episodic memory, like, oh, you were the guy who disturbed me in the college, you were my roommate. Yes. Or, oh yes, that function I attended, what a wonderful host you were. So all those things, you know, remembering memories of a relative's golden jubilee, The first date, the first outing with a girlfriend, or the first movie you saw with your wife, all those memories, that they are memories of episodes, and the hippocampus is responsible for those memories. Declarative memory is memory of facts, data, and events, like remembering or recalling the name of your favorite restaurant, its location, and I'm sitting here, where is the nearest parking area located to me? So all that is declarative memory. So procedural memory is the responsibility of cerebellum, while recognition, episodic, and declarative memory is the function of hippocampus. Prefrontal cortex, it is responsible for semantic memory. That is a recollection of facts gathered from the time when we were young. Knowing simple facts like grass is green. So that is the function of prefrontal cortex. Now, what is the difference between episodic and semantic memory? Semantic memory is memory which we have gained during our young days. Like it takes efforts, because we know that apples are edible, they are fruit, yes, they have seeds, they grow on trees. So we are taught that and we see that. So that is semantic memory, knowledge learned over many interactions. While episodic memory is memory of events which we have experienced, like that wonderful birthday party, that wonderful anniversary, that wonderful date, and so on. So there is a difference between episodic and semantic memory. But the questions still remain. Has technology taken our memory skills because we don't need to memorize by making things easier for us? Are we living in an age of digital amnesia? So this is the modern approach to a birthday wish. How do we wish a birthday, happy birthday to someone nowadays? Facebook tells us in the morning that so-and-so person's, their birthday is today. Okay. And then we have our WhatsApp groups. So somebody posts their happy birthday to so-and-so and everybody starts following that. And then our job is done. We have wished a person happy birthday. That's what is happening nowadays. We don't remember the birthdays. We don't have a list which we open in the morning. Oh, this month, these birthdays are there. No. We just use technology, Facebook, WhatsApp. They dictate to us, now you please wish this person happy birthday. And then you type and then your work is done. Isn't it the case? So what is happening is that technology has become an online extension of our brain. And this extension of our brain is affecting us and making things easier for us. This is good because there is no scientific basis to prove that this is reducing our brain's capacity. It is just that technology is changing the way we choose to remember. Now we remember our passwords. Now we remember our folders. Now we don't need to remember the actual things because we have kind of outsourced our memory, and internet has become an online extension of our brain. So this diagram says it all. This figure says it all. How the internet has become an online extension of our brain. Life without a laptop is so difficult nowadays. So we are simply replacing ability to recall specifics with certainty that we have them stored somewhere. So we can retrieve the information thanks to technology. But this has posed challenges to us, hasn't it? Now, what are the challenges posed by technology? You know, number one challenge of technology, you all will agree with me, is that there is an endless flow of information. You open your Google and it will give you all the snippets. You choose a particular snippet. Snippets like that will keep on coming in front of you, and they keep on coming relentlessly throughout the day. So there is too much information which is coming in. It is so much that it is becoming difficult to handle it. We are overwhelmed by the facts. So many facts. I think of doing something, okay, I have to pick up my keys and go downstairs. And suddenly my phone gives me a reminder I have to send an email. And I forget about picking up the keys and I go for sending that email. So is technology not dictating me what to do and not letting myself decide at that moment what to do? We are overwhelmed by the facts. Endless information is coming. And the worst thing is that whatever information is coming in, it's coming in and in. We are unable to connect it into a meaningful story. That is, we are not able to derive a context out of it. That, okay, the information is coming, I have to focus on that information and I have to keep it in my mind and I can retrieve it whenever I want. I can't do that because more and more information is coming in, then I can absorb or handle. And that is due to the internet, or you can say technology. So see this figure, it's a very interesting figure. The water is flowing from the jug into the container. So what is happening is, initially the container is empty, then it gets filled to the brim, and then water starts overflowing. Very natural. Same is happening with us. The endless information, that is the water, is overloading us, that is the container, and we cannot manage that huge amount of information, which is too much for us to handle and manage. So we are living in an era of information overload. And what have we done? We have created a silicon brain. So just like in computers, your memory is not that much in the computer. So what do? You put in a hard disk. So we have put a hard disk for our brain also, haven't we? We have created a silicon brain. The internet is the brain's external hard drive. Our phone a friend option. Whenever I require to know the names of the presidents, I use the internet. I don't go to a library. Google effect has overtaken us. Technology has allowed us to outsource memory storage. And how much do we think about it? Almost never. So we have created a silicon brain. So we have information stored somewhere in the internet. We just need to remember where to look, in which folders to look, what are the passwords. That's all. So technology is simply changing the way we choose to remember. Isn't it a fact? Now, there's an information overflow. First challenge. Second challenge, silicon brain we have created. Third challenge, that this need for constant creativity has induced a stress. In the evenings, when I sit with my family for a cup of tea, I am compelled to open my smartphone, which is lying near me. The same smartphone I don't allow my children to use when they want to play games, because I say, no, this is addictive. But I have my excuses. I'm an important person. Some important message is going to come. So I have to keep on checking. I have to know what's happening. I don't want to be left out, isolated from the members of my community. So I have to stay connected. And the need for that constant connection has induced a stress. This happened with all of us. See this person, he's walking, but he doesn't know where he's walking to because he is engrossed in his mobile. So technology has taken control of us, whether we like it or not, and this has induced a stress. The need for constant connectivity has induced a stress. And this stress leads to forgetfulness and distractions. We are driving a car, suddenly we get a phone call. We might not attend that phone call, but we are interested in knowing who has called. So that there is that element of distraction is there, isn't it there? Forgetfulness is there. I told you, I'm going to water the plants. Suddenly I get a message in the WhatsApp group that I have to make an important email. I forget about watering the plants. I go on and start doing that email. And then Next day, I realized I didn't water the plants yesterday. So distractions and forgetfulness are increasing day by day because of this stress induced by the constant connectivity. And whatever information is coming, we are not able to convert it into a meaningful context. That is also important. We have started multitasking also. Other day I was talking to my senior resident. She was roaming around in the corridor, and then I realized that whatever I've spoken, she hasn't understood because there is a wireless device in her ear and she's talking with somebody. So walking and talking, and then the third input I gave by saying good morning to her, and she didn't realize it. And after some time, by looking at me, she felt that something was wrong. So she takes out that wireless device from her ear and apologetically says, good morning, sir. You said something. So multitasking is taking a toll. Games. You try to get children out of games. They will not. They will play one game, the second game, the third game. And then when you tell them to do something, they will do that, but their mind is still in that game. And so that leads to distraction. There's a very interesting Baker paradox, and this tells us why we need to convert the information we receive into a meaningful context. So what was done here was that two groups were created. One group was told about a person whose name is Baker, and then they told him some characteristics of that person. And the other person was told about the baker who actually bakes in the bakery. So what happened was that many things were told about this Mr. Baker and the person whose occupation was baker. And then after a few days, when a recapitulation was done, the group which was told about the occupation of the person had better memory, because when they heard the word baker and the occupation bakery, they could create a context out of it. They could create an image of aprons, fresh bread, and kitchen in their minds. So that association with that image helped them to recapitulate better compared to the other group, which was told that just the name was Baker, so they forgot the name Baker. So this meaningful association with the information we are receiving, creation of an image in our minds is important for recapitulation and memory. So these are the problems. Now, what are the solutions? Are there any solutions? There are solutions. We need to create conscious efforts, and the information we are getting, that needs to be soaked over a shorter period of time. In other words, what I want to say here is we need to create long-term memories by short-term exposure to information. And one is able to memorize and recall better if these short periods of exposure to information, there's a gap, and that gap allows a person to rest, preferably by sleeping. So the results are best if these short periods of information exposure are interspersed by sleep. We need to create long-term memories because long-term memories are better retained. So two things: shorter exposure to information and longer creation of memory. So long-term memory creation, short-term information exposure. A combination of these two factors will result in better recall, and we will be able to deal with the information overload in an effective manner. An example I'll give you: cramming for an exam, a one-night cramming session for an exam. What happens? Person gives the exam and then forgets everything. While a person who has studied on a regular basis, and whatever that person has studied, he has tried to think in his mind the implications of that topic, that person is more likely to remember what he or she has read compared to a person who has just crammed the information, waking up throughout the night and then gone on there in the examination, vomited out everything in the exam, and then when he or she comes back, they are again back to square one. Nothing. So two things: short-term exposure to information to create long-term memories. We need to create long-term memories. Technology is not good at this. I'm watching The Family Man now, and what happens is, when I watch a particular episode, immediately I am prompted to go for the next episode. The first episode ends at a kind of climax. Something is going to happen, and I am interested. I am prompted to go to the next episode. So Netflix will always say, watch one more episode. Hyperlinks will always encourage you to go to another page. And gamification, once you finish a game, you will always be encouraged to play another game. So this information overload technology is thrusting upon us. We should have this information seeping into us over a shorter span of time, and we should create long-term memories. So there has been a recent study on this also, that people who binge watched a particular series, for example, The Family Man or any other series, they remember significantly less about the plot characters than those who watched the same series on a nightly, weekly schedule. So why watching the same series over a weekly schedule was better, or daily schedule was better than binge watching? Because the person was able to connect the information into a meaningful context. Shorter periods of time, the exposure was there, and that led to creation of long-term memories. So this is one solution to this information overload. Second solution is, we have all heard about it nowadays, meditate, focus, meditate, focus. Why? Because this gives an opportunity to recall. Meditation is the habitual process of training our mind to focus and redirect our thoughts. It has documented physical and mental benefits, leads to reduced depression, anxiety, and also improves the immune system functioning. So it provides an opportunity for recall. Memory, the more we retrieve our memory, the more we are able to recall. And meditation does that only. So in meditation, what happens is the person focuses. And that focusing allows retrieving the information from the depths using our cognitive faculties. And so it helps in improving our memory retention and recall in the future. So first thing was that we should create long-term memories. The second thing is we need to focus, and that will help us in recalling. When we were in school, we used to watch so many commercials and we used to read so many jingles. Those jingles are still at the back of our mind. And we don't need to think when we speak those jingles, because we have repeated them so many times. We have focused on them so many times. On the other hand, logos, when we look at a logo, we forget about it. We have never tried to retrieve those images. So we are poor in memorizing the logos, but we are very good at memorizing our jingles because we have tried to retrieve the information time and time again. So that makes focusing so much important. Technology is poor in this. So technology encourages you to binge watch. Technology overloads you with information. and technology does not let you focus. Other than usernames and passwords, we are not retrieving any information while we are using technology. So we need to have short-term exposure to technology. We need to create long-term memories, and we need to focus and retrieve our memories for better recall. I hope you agree with me. And then what to do about the stress, the constant stress which is there due to internet connectivity. The so-called senior movements are becoming increasingly common. You know, I was working under a medical superintendent, and she was always under stress. And she used to say, when I go out of my house in the evening, I have to go to the market, and I end up coming to the medical superintendent's office. That was due to the stress, you know, forgetfulness, that is my job. At the back of the mind, the job is always there. So the person always goes towards that only. And other things are forgotten. So these senior moments are becoming increasingly common among younger people. And it is partly due to excessive reliance on technology. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? You know, multitasking, having breakfast, getting late, watching the phone, and the keys are not found in the morning. All those things, they happen to all of us, don't they? So we need to avoid the constant connectivity. You know, the millennials, that is those born between 1981 to 96, according to the Pew Research Center, they are more likely than those over the age of 55 to forget what day it is and where they have put their keys. Why? Because of multitasking and dependence on technology. So we need to avoid the constant connectivity, whether we like it or we not. We feel it is very important to stay constantly connected, but it has its disadvantages, and we have to overcome this to get free from the stress induced by the constant connectivity. Now see this cartoon which I have created. The mother is asking the student, son, how was your school today? And that casual conversation, you know, the mother is trying to initiate between herself and her son. And the son is so engrossed in the mobile, he says, read my blog. So he has time to create a blog about his daily activities so that anyone who is interested can read that blog, but he doesn't have a time to turn off his phone screen and look at his mother in the eye and respond in a positive sense. So this is the disadvantage of technology. It provides an information overload. It does not allow you to retrieve information, and it does not allow you to be stress-free. It keeps you involved all the time so that you don't realize what you are doing wrong. So we need to give up the constant connectivity and avoid the overload. Generation Z. So Generation Z is those born between 1997 and 2012. So these people have grown up multitasking using technology. Along with lack of sleep, this results in high levels of forgetfulness. This is a documented thing. So millennials, Z generation, you know, God bless them. If they don't take remedial measures for technology, then things are going to get more and more difficult. They will get more and more forgetful, and eventually the technology which is making things easier for them will have its side effects upon them. So unless we bring about a change, a conscious change in ourselves, technology is not bad, but using it in the appropriate manner is what is required so that we get more out of it and do not suffer its side effects. Now, this is just a cartoon wherein this person, Innovatio, he has named his password as incorrect. Whenever I forget, my computer tells me. So again, for the password also, he is getting dependent on the computer, that I am typing my password, the computer says your password is incorrect. So he remembers, okay, my password is incorrect. So other than passwords and URL names, technology is very poor at retrieving information. So I thank you all. I appreciate your availability, and I hope you found my topic interesting. So I'm available for questions and comments on this lecture. So I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to present a guest lecture at such an important platform. I thank you all for your time and cooperation, and my best wishes to you all and all your families. Thank you.